Welcome back. We're following several new developments this afternoon on the coronavirus pandemic. We're joined right now live by Dr. Jeff Pothof from UW Health. Doctor, thanks so much for being here. First off, today Johnson & Johnson said it is asking for the FDA for approval for its booster shot. Just how much more effective is that vaccine with the booster shot? And do you think it will go a similar route as Pfizer and only be approved for certain groups?
Yeah, Johnson & Johnson did a study where they looked at if they gave another dose of their vaccine at about the 2-month mark, what happened, and they increased their efficacy quite a bit, up to the level of those mRNA vaccines in the 90% range. So it does look like they might get EUA authorization for this. It has to still go through that same rigorous process. Lots of different scientists, independent from Johnson & Johnson, need to look at it. But I think because the initial efficacy of that Johnson & Johnson vaccine was a bit lower than the mRNA, it's possible we may see a little bit different demographic coming out of that Johnson & Johnson EUA. They might do a few more folks than what we saw in the Pfizer and Moderna booster.
All right. I also want to ask you about a potential new tool in our fight against coronavirus, an antiviral pill from Merck, which, if approved, would be the very first pill to treat COVID. What's the data show for it, and when might we see that in use?
So the data we have right now is a phase 3 clinical study that Merck did that involved, I think, 745 patients. And what they found is that those who took that oral medication had about a 50% reduction in hospitalization versus those who did not. And this medication works by disrupting the code that the virus uses to replicate. It's almost like virus espionage. So this needs to go through that same process of emergency use authorization, independent scientists looking at it. We're probably a month, maybe 2 months away from seeing this pill in use. But anything in our toolbox that helps us combat COVID-19 is helpful as we're still in this pandemic, unfortunately.
Yep. And real quick, I also want to touch on the Milwaukee Bucks. They recently announced that next season, proof of vaccination or negative test has to be required for fans who sit within 15 feet of the court. But it's not required for the rest of the stadium. So how much will that protect the players who are on the court? And will it have a big impact on the fans in the stadium?
Well, I think when you look at the players, it's unlikely they'll come in contact with fans that are farther away than that. So it probably does have some benefit in keeping those players safe. Unfortunately, the rest of those fans that are farther away, they are afforded no protection. It might be something that the Bucks want to consider is requiring proof of vaccination for the entire fan base rather than those that are just closest to their players.
All right. Well, we so appreciate your time and your insight, and we'll check back in with you again soon. Thanks so much. Well, reminder, you can find expanded coverage on the pandemic, including information about how to get vaccinated at tmj4.com/coronavirus.